Good.
Good, thank God. Okay, so I want to ask each of you, if you don't mind, to get a pencil and paper. I'm going to ask you to do a little work tonight. All right, David?
Okay. 1 minute.
All right. Everybody needs a pencil and paper.
Okay.
You good, Mick?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, excellent. All right, I want to start by reading to you a few psukim, a few verses that we'll read in a few weeks. They're of the most beautiful verses in the Torah, and they're referencing what we're focused on. We're focused on now. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. I want to read them to you to just re-engage you in these psukim. They're really very beautiful. So the middle of this beautiful parshiah that Moshe Rabbeinu says goes as follows: Lo b'shamayim hi le'emor. It's not in the heavens to say, Mi ya'aleh lanu hashamayim v'yikacheha lanu. Who's going to go up to the heavens and grab this beautiful thing that Hakadosh Baruch Hu offers us and bring it to us? V'yishme'ena ota v'na'asena. Who's going to come and teach it to us so that we do it? Who's going to do that? Well, it's not in the heavens. It doesn't need to be brought down from the heavens. It's not on the other side of a great water, of a great bank of water, not on the other side of the ocean, where we would say, who's going to traverse the waters and grab this thing, this beautiful thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu offers us, and will bring it back to us, and will teach it to us, and we'll do it. Nobody has to do any of those things. Ki karov elecha hadavar me'od, b'ficha v'bavecha la'asoto. What we're talking about is very close to everyone on our lips and in our hearts in order to do it. One more pasuk. Re'eh natati lefanecha hayom et ha'chaim v'et hatov, et ha'mavet v'et hara. Actually, two. I put before you today life and good, or the opposite. Asher anochi mitzavcha hayom la'ava et Adonai Elohecha, ללכת בדרכיו, לשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו, וחיית ורבית וברכך אדוני אלוהיך בארץ אשר אתה בא שמה לרשתה. He says, Moshe Rabbeinu continues and says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put this in front of us, life and good, or the opposite. The opportunity to love God, to walk in His ways, to keep His mitzvot and His chukim and His mishpatim, all different types of laws. V'chayita v'rabita, and you will live and you will be plentiful and blessed. V'rechacha Adonai Elohecha ba'aretz asher ata b'shama l'rishta. And eventually you go back to the land, go back home to Israel, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised us as our eternal inheritance. Now, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking about, actually what Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about here, is Teshuva. Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about repentance. He's talking about Teshuva. Lo b'shamayim hi, it's not in the heavens. It's not on the other side of a great ocean. It's something that's immediately accessible to everyone. Now, what precedes these verses are very beautiful, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that there'll be spontaneity in the world, where people at a certain points in time, exclusive of any particular impetus or stimulus, will just begin to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just awaken out of all different corners of the earth. And in fact, we see it today. We see the emergence of the Russian Jewish community after nearly 70 or 80 years of literally being disconnected from Judaism altogether. We see the emergence of communities in South America and Central America, and of course, the remarkable establishment of the State of Israel, and more people learning Torah now than could be ever in history. It's possible. But if it's not more people now than ever in history, it's certainly close. So this idea of Teshuvah, of reconnecting to ourselves and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is inherent in who we are as collectively, as a people, and individually. What we talked about last week was the what. What do we want? We talked about Behirah Chofshit. We talked about the fact that choice is absolutely free for the human being, meaning that the same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu does everything from a perspective of Yesh Me'ayin, something from nothing. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's decisions and actions are absolutely free and non-contingent on anything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the same ability. Hey Zeke, welcome back, good to have you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the same ability. We have free choice. Not only do we have choice, but we have choice to do things that's exclusive of anything we've done, of anything we've felt, of anything we've habituated throughout our lives. So let's just wrap the introduction quickly. A, this idea of Teshuvah is built into the nature of the world. It will happen regardless of whether anyone wants it to happen or not. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very clear in saying, it's not far, it's easy. It's immediately inside of you. All you have to do is reach briefly inside, reconnect, and it happens. And what are you reconnecting to? That absolutely free will, meaning the ability to remove anything that compromises us, that challenges us, that darkens our spirits, so that our will, our ratzon, is absolutely unencumbered and free to love our Kadosh Baruch Hu, to love ourselves and be happy. That's Teshuvah in a nutshell, as out there as it sounds. It ain't out there. So, what are we going to do tonight? We are going to go al pi Harambam, according to Maimonides, and the 5 steps that Harambam identifies in terms of executing this thing called Teshuvah, of making it happen. As I mentioned, I'm asking each of you to pick up a pencil and a paper, and I want you to go through the steps individually, because I want you to own them. All right? Yeli, hi, honey. I want you to own them. Okay? What's the first step, according to Harambam, in terms of making Teshuvah? What's the first step?
Admitting admission.
Beautiful, Mickey. Excellent. And the term in Hebrew is hakarat hachet, a recognition of the issue, a recognition of the sin. So I'm going to do it with you. Let's do it together. If everybody would pick up a piece of paper and write down 3 or 4 or 5 things in themselves that they would say are areas that they falter in, that they stumble in. Hakarat hachet, a recognition of the area of stumbling. Let's take a couple of minutes and everyone write 3 to 5 things that they should identify, and we're going to work on. I'm not going to ask anybody to fess up, but we'll just go through the process. Good?
I'm glad you said that, because I wasn't going to write anything down until you did, Rick.
All right, good. Not going to ask. Just don't write in front of the camera, Zeke.
Wait, so what you want me to write down? What things that I'm doing to Teshuvah?
I want
3
you to
areas
write
you could
down
fix.
3
Oh,
things.
areas to
3
fix.
things, David, that you want to fix. 3 things that you want to fix.
Okay.
I'm gonna put mine down. And by the way, think about both categories, 3 to 5 things. Think about both categories, between man and between man and God. And just take the low-hanging fruit, stuff that we know is in us. We've worked on it. We haven't worked on it. We want to address it this holiday.
Some are connected.
Huh?
Some are connected.
Some are connected.
Hashem
Good.
and us.
Great. Okay, if they're connected, good. So we'll figure out if they're all one thing or not. Start by listing them. All right, I have 3 so far. I'm going to go to 5.
So Hill was not helping with his defense, which turned this inning into something a little bit bigger than it should have been.
Good. The things that I want to improve, huh?
Do I got to stop at 5? Okay, keep going.
Keep going, keep going.
I got a lot of confessions.
Good. You got him, write him. Hey, Erwin. You got him, write him. Great.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, let's write them down. Okay, I'm gonna go through mine. Hi, Erwin. Missed you
Hi,
last
Rick.
week.
How are you?
How you doing? Everything good?
Hi, Erwin.
Thank God. Yeah.
Great.
Erwin, how are you?
He froze.
I froze.
Okay.
Who's that?
Mickey Shabbat saying hello, Erwin.
And Mickey, raise your head.
There you
Long time
go.
no see.
Hi, Mick. How are
How
you?
are you? Good.
I'm good. Thank God.
Right.
Thank you for your
Okay.
work.
So I'm going to start by I'm going to Erwin. What we're doing is we're going through the process of Teshuva, and I asked each person on the class to list 3 to 5 things that he or she wants to fix. And I'm not gonna call anybody out, but please grab a pencil and a piece of paper and list 3 to 5 specific things. Specific. Okay? So as Mickey said so well, Zeke, you with me?
I'm here.
Okay, you got yours? Did you write some?
I have a ton. Yeah, I have some. Yeah. A few.
Welcome
Up
to the
here.
club.
Okay, good.
Mickey, Ricky, is it
Yeah.
3 categories or 3 things?
Let's start with 3 to 5 things. Good?
Good, yeah.
Let's start with 3 to 5 things. David, you good?
Yeah, I'm gonna have 3.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So as Mickey mentioned, step A is hakarat hachet, an objective.
What's hakarat hatov?
What, David?
What's hakarat hatov?
It's saying beautiful. Hakarat hatov means an objective recognition of good. Hakara, an objective recognition of good. Over
In
here,
layman's terms, what does that mean?
it means I can see the good in something objectively.
Right. Where's
I
your
don't have-
hakarat hatov towards somebody, which means where's your goodwill towards them, right?
Yeah, it's
Right.
I can see the good coming out of this thing, out of this person, out of this experience. But it's absolutely objective. It's not tainted. I'm not working too hard to figure it. It's pure, simple good, and that's why the term heker lahakir, right, used in this context as well, means it's absolutely objective. So there's no emotion in this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. There's no emotion. It's just simply about objectively listing things that we want to fix. So I'm gonna tell you my first thing because it's purely objective. My first is tefillah b'kavanah. I personally love to pray. I love to pray, and I love the opportunity that it provides to zone everything else out and to get into a zone, just a you and God and a you and you zone. As some of us talked about before, Rabbi Soloveitchik writes that prayer is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. And what he says is that the person is talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu on some level is talking back. And the person is talking to himself or herself and opening up new and inspiring possibilities. So for me, I love praying. And the first thing that came to mind is tefillah b'kavanah. I want to make my tefillah more focused, more mechuvan, more concentrated. Meaning, I find that when I dwell on the words and their meanings, it's an incredibly uplifting experience, particularly in the Berachot HaShachar, the early berachot that we say when we wake up, and the Amidah, the silent prayer. When I know for me personally, when I focus in on the terms of those berachot, I'm incredibly uplifted, I zone out, and so on. So in terms of the area that I want to fix, my hakara, my objective recognition is that I want to pray with more concentration. And again, I know what it means. Zoning in on every word, going slower, taking a little bit longer, and so on.
Wouldn't it also mean, though, under recognizing what it is that you're distracting from tefillah doing, and saying, I even though I want to focus on my tefillah, I'm always thinking about X when I pray.
Excellent.
Right?
So focusing on removing that. Good.
Right.
Good.
But Rick, I find it very hard to concentrate more when you're praying in shul because the chazan is going to start. You're going to still be praying, so that part is very hard.
Right. You're absolutely right, David. So what's the halacha? What's the halacha in terms of that? It's very important to know.
If you think you can't have kavanah in shul, pray home by yourself.
No.
When you say not, when they say naktishach and you're still praying, you don't say naktishach. You just stop.
Right.
Correct?
Right. And Maran Shulchan Aruch brings down a very beautiful thing. And some of us have talked about this before. Flora might remember from many years ago. Maran Shulchan Aruch says that if you don't understand the prayers, pray in English. Simple. Pray in the language you understand. Simple.
Right.
Period. Because again, it's supposed to be an absolutely engrossing and uplifting experience. So if you're just blowing through it in Hebrew, and it's not transformative, and it's not uplifting, and it's not making me love God more and feel closer to Him, and love life more and feel closer to myself, then it didn't achieve anything. So much better doing it in English. Second thing he says, less is more. Meaning, if you can't keep up with the kahal, say less. Say less. You don't have to say everything that the kahal is saying. And if it's really something that challenges you, I'll do it with it offline, where I'll show you what can be said and what can be skipped, so to speak. Ideally, we don't skip anything, but practically we do, because sometimes the kahal is moving too fast. The Amidah in particular, as you all know, should be a very, very private, very beautiful experience where you don't even know anybody else is in the room. Some people put their talet over their head. Everybody is encouraged to stand in front of a nondescript wall or a wall without a lot of color. We're strongly discouraged from standing in front of a window because it's distracting. So
what about distractions like people standing next to you talking?
It's a problem. They shouldn't be doing it.
They do.
I know, but they shouldn't be doing it. So you have to do your best to zone them out. We can't control it.
What do you do if you're in the middle of Amidah and they start with the Kaddish?
Like David said, you pause.
Stop.
And you let them knock out the Kaddish very quickly. Some rabbis say you don't pause, you just keep reading. But let's assume you can pause for a minute and then keep going. Some rabbis would say don't pause, just keep reading, because you don't want to have a hefsek. You don't want to have a pause in your reading. But you have me to depend on either way. So either pause and just focus on the words of the naktishach that are being said, that you're not saying, but focus on the words, be mechaben on the words, or just continue reading what you're doing. Let's say for this conversation, we're going to pause and we're going to focus on the words. Right?
Okay, so so offline, or maybe when I see you on Saturday, I have to tell you something that I need help on. I don't want to go public with this.
Okay, you're on. All right, you're on. Good. So my one of my points, and it's not number one, but it's up there, is having more kavanah in my tefillah, having more concentration in my tefillah. So as Mickey said a few minutes ago, what does that mean, Erwin? It means I had the objective clarity and honesty to identify the thing. Now, I keep using the word objective, Erwin. And again, based on your background and what you did for many years, why is objectivity so key here?
Because we're judging ourselves, right? We have to make sure that we're being objective. Otherwise, we're going to miss it.
No, but
Yeah,
what does objective mean, Zeke? What does it mean?
Being
Yeah,
able to step outside, right, and see it from an objective standpoint.
Go a little
No,
harsher. Erwin, what does objective mean?
No, I'm just saying that maybe you're not fooling yourself and you're being real about the
Don't
about
sketch.
the plan.
Tell me what objective means.
Not
I'll
sketching.
tell you. Tell me what subjective means.
Subjective means.
This is essential. You gotta
It's absolutely taking it into account from your own perspective, not being
No.
mindful.
What is subjective?
Subjective.
Right, good, very good. Okay.
Right.
So objective means
Right.
that there's no emotion attached. Nothing.
Ah,
Zero.
We
The
didn't do
way
that.
Harambam writes this is crystal clear, and it's challenging because we've been conditioned for years from outside authorities, not Sephardi authorities, not Maimonidean authorities like Harambam, that have made Teshuva a very emotional conversation. It's purely objective. So, objectively speaking, I want to fix A, B, and C. I'm not judging myself. I'm not getting down on myself. I'm not anything. The same way, objectively, I set a goal in business or in my hesed or in my health or in my exercising. I objectively set a goal. I'm objectively identifying the issue I want to approach. You with me, Zeke?
I'm here.
You good?
I'm good.
David, you with me?
Rick,
David,
I
you
have-
with me?
yeah.
Hmm?
I have a point on that, Rick. So now you brought clarity to the objective, but probably the key point that I've learned over the last 20 years is, and I tell this to everybody, and anytime that I enforced it in my life, it worked for me in any form of my life. But when I didn't, I got hurt. And it's really how to move the emotion from the transaction. And that's like that. It's the roughest thing. I tell everybody that anytime I ever did it in my life, it succeeded in any part of my life. When I let the emotion take over, I lost.
Exactly, Erwin, you hit it perfectly. And that's exactly what's going on here. Now,
But shouldn't you
Erwin,
be But Ricky, in your prayers, shouldn't you be emotional?
Erwin, I'm not talking about prayers. Erwin.
Oh,
give
you're
me-
saying in general. Okay.
Okay, no, I'm not saying in general. I'm saying in terms of Teshuvah. Give me Erwin 1. One second,
Right.
listen to me. Erwin 1 and Erwin 2.
Right.
Erwin 1 and Erwin 2. Okay, you with me? Erwin 1 approaches Teshuvah from an emotional
Standpoint.
perspective or standpoint. Good?
Okay.
Mickey, you with me?
Yes.
You're doing the book, How to Think Slow Fast?
Erwin 2, 1 second, sorry. Erwin 2. Yeah. It's going to take me another 9 years to finish that book. Erwin, but thank you for giving it to me because now I have to read it.
By the way, I usually read a book in a week. That book took me a month because
Yeah.
I got
you
it.
really have to sponge every page. You
I
got
know,
to
you
read
have
like
to
a
sponge
chapter.
every page. It is.
I got it on
very-
Blinkist. I did it in 12 minutes. All right.
Yeah, it's really serious. It's serious.
Go ahead.
Erwin, you with me? You with
100%.
me?
Yep.
Erwin 1, Erwin 2. Erwin, stay with me. Erwin 1 approaches Teshuvah from a purely objective perspective. He lists the 3, 4, 5 key things that he's failed in or he wants to improve or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Erwin 2, also a very good guy. He lists the same 3, 4, 5 things that that he wants to fix or improve. He lists it with a lot of emotion. What is the difference?
I guess the ability to fix it.
Why?
Right.
Why? You're
Be-
right.
Well,
Why?
if you're emotionally attached to something, you're not going to have the wherewithal to, I don't know.
You're
I'm-
not emotionally attached to the action. Listen more carefully. And this is
But no, if you're hard on yourself, if you're judging yourself, right?
good, very good, perfect. That's the thing. If I look at my level of kavanah, my level of concentration in my tefillah, objectively, I'm on level 7 in my own perspective. I can get to level 8, level 8.5. It's objective. I'm not going to beat myself up for being on level 7. I'm not going to pound my heart and slam my head against the wall and lie on the floor on ice and roll on the ice. That's not Sfaradi. That's not who we are. That's not how Harambam envisioned Teshuva. That's not it. And it's certainly not in the spirit of what we read from the Chumash at the very beginning. So, and to Zeke's point, if I'm self-berating when I'm looking at these things, either I'm not going to go there, which most people don't. They just give it lip service. Or when I go there, I'm not going to fix it because all I did was make myself feel bad. But if Irwin won or Ricky won, simply looks at the issue without any emotion, as Zeke said, and no self-judgment, it's a piece of cake. As Mickey said, identify the issue. Okay, identify the issue. So I'm going to use my example. We'll continue with that. I want to pray with more kavanah. Good. What's the second step, Mickey, according to Harambam? The second step.
Concentration.
No, the second step in general. Not in my area that I listed, in general. David, what's the second step? I want you guys to own this. Gailey, you remember though? What's the second step, honey?
Be remorseful.
No.
To actually not be tested and not do it again.
Okay, good. Listen, the second step is called azivat hachet. Azivat hachet, which means stopping cold turkey with no plan to fundamentally fix it. Stopping cold turkey. It is absolutely fantastic. So, Irwin 1, Irwin 2. Good. Aren't you happy you dialed in tonight, Irwin? Irwin 1, Irwin 2. Right?
Yeah, but the point is, how do you fuse 1 and 2?
Okay, one good. One good. Well, good. I want to get rid of.
If you're the 2, you got to knock the 2 out. Maybe there's a happy medium.
Yeah, I want you to work, all of us, including me, and I've been playing this for years. We all want to work on getting rid of Irwin 2, Zeke 2, David 2, Mickey 2, right? We want to get rid of that. Ricky 2. We want to focus on Ricky 1, which is absolutely clear-minded. So, step 1 is I identify the issue, and step 2, I simply stop doing it the way I don't want to do it.
Finish. Right.
I simply stop. It's called
without all the drama, without all the gaze.
No
just
drama.
stop.
But what else is lacking, Zeke? Beauty. What else is lacking?
Regret.
For sure. But what else is lacking? Come on.
What else is lacking?
From what? A couple of weeks. No Tuesday nights for a couple of weeks. You were goofing off.
No. What is lacking from what? From being objective?
What else is lacking from step 2?
Oh.
I'll tell you what's lacking, ladies and gentlemen. What's lacking is a plan to permanently fix the issue. So let's be clear. Step 1, hakarat hachet, acknowledging objectively, clear-mindedly, ain't no bad people here. It's just nice Ricky, nice Mickey, nice whomever. Objectively identifying what I want to fix. Step 2, stop doing it wrong, even though you don't have a plan to fix it, which Zeke means what?
Which means if you don't have a plan, you might actually fall back into the trap of doing it.
You will definitely fall back. You will definitely fall back.
Planning to fail is failing to plan is planning to fail. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but listen carefully what Harambam writes. It's so true to human nature and so incredibly powerful. The first step is recognition, just cold, objective recognition. And these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 22, whatever it is, things in my life I want to change. I want to be better in. I want to reach out to. I want to grow into. I want to avoid. Whatever it is, write them down. When we used to do this in the women's class, Laura might remember many years ago, I made like a pamphlet. And I had people literally writing stuff down. And then they would bring that pamphlet into Yom Kippur with them, put it in the Machzor, and when everybody is reading Vidoy, read this.
Right.
This is what you want to be doing because this is the real thing. What the rabbis did in the Vidoy, in the confession, is they put together an everything list, like the everything car of the days of old. They put
Right.
together an everything list, whatever somebody might have stumbled in over time. And they just pour it all on the page, assuming that 1, 2, 3, X number of things are going to catch your attention and mine, and we're going to focus on them. But that was just done as a crutch by the rabbis because they weren't confident that people would do the exercise themselves up front. So if you have a pencil or pen in your hands and a piece of paper, and you took the opportunity to write 3 to 5 things down, right? Step 2 is you're going to say, okay, I'm going to say for me that I'm going to stop praying with the lesser level of kavanah, with the lesser level of communication right now. Now, to Zeke's point, I haven't put in a program to maintain that. I don't have a program to maintain it, which means what, Zeke? That it can't
You're gonna fail.
last long, right? But right now, I'm out of the muck and I'm in the good stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Mickey, what are your thoughts on this so far?
I agree with you so far.
Okay, beautiful. Great. Now,
So it's like a
Yes,
fake it
question.
till you make it kind of thing.
it's a fake it till you make it. 100%. 100%. I taught this once to a group of Russian young adults, and they were very insulted. They were very insulted by the terminology fake it till you make it. But in fact, that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Right.
I don't have a plan to permanently, in terms of using myself as an example, I don't have a plan to permanently raise the level of my kavanah, of my concentration in my prayer. So what I'm going to do now is just do it without a plan, knowing that if I don't put a plan together over time, this thing is not going to stick. Okay? Now, so based on what you've seen so far, what would you believe is step 3?
Come up with the plan.
Okay, perfect. Zeke. Come up with the plan. And what is that? How do we say that in Hebrew? Kabbalah le'atid.
Strategy.
What I'm taking on for the future.
Right.
Kabbalah le'atid. So now, let's go back to Irwin 1, Irwin 2. Irwin 1 takes this objective approach, identifies 3, 5, 10 things that he wants to be better in. He immediately stops doing them in the way that he doesn't want to be doing them, even though he knows that this cold turkey stop without a real plan to maintain it won't stick. No problem, but do it anyway, because now I'm out of the muck. I'm out of the thing of doing it the way I don't want to do it. Step 3 is to take some time and write a short plan on how to make this change permanent. Isn't that fabulous? Now, let's say in terms of my case, where I want to pray with more kavanah. I have a pretty good level of kavanah, but I want to raise the bar. And again, why? It's honestly selfish. Because when I pray with kavanah, with more concentration, I'm so uplifted. I'm so inspired. I'm so warm. I love it. So if step 3 is Kabbalah La'atid, putting together a go forward plan, what do you guys recommend? What should be the go forward plan? What would be the parameters of it?
It's got to be a compelling thing, that not a push that you're afraid of something happening, but something you're looking forward to that's going to give you positive results.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Not attaching the why. Isn't that the whole thing? Simon Sinek.
Don't attach the why. Thank you. Don't
No?
attach the why. Very good.
Okay,
Very
sorry.
good. Don't attach the why. Good. No, good.
Okay. Okay.
Just talk to me about the what now. What did you want to do to make sure, using my example, that your tefillah has more kavanah? Give me a few examples. If this is an issue for any of you guys or ladies.
Remove the distractions if there are any.
Okay, good. So now.
But they're in your head, so you're not going to remove them. They're in your head.
I put on my paper, I put on my paper, remove the distractions, right? But why is that not good enough?
Because it's easy. They're in your head, the distractions. We know where the issue is.
It's just too broad. It's just too broad. Stop thinking about business when I'm praying.
Right.
Stop
Not easy.
worrying about, to David's point, stop worrying about the speed of the minyan. Ignore the people around me. I have to be mundane, in the minutia, in the details. In the details. Imagine, Zeke, how powerful this is. If I could list 3 or 4 or 5 things that I'm practically, simply going to do differently to make sure that what I identified in step 1 sticks.
Right. Well, that's the whole premise of meditation, right? That's what it's about. It's about being able to be mindful of when the distraction comes enough that you can move back to what you want to be thinking about.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I'm going to write for myself. I'm going to allocate more time to pray. I'm going to repeat the parts that I say too fast, or I say without the right level of kavanah, right? I'm going to repeat them. I'm going to, in quotation marks, ignore the pace of the minyan, and I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm going to try to learn a new word or concept in prayer, one of the words in the Amidah that I don't fully understand, or one of the words in the Baruch She'amar, or one of the terms in the Halukas that I don't fully understand. I'm going to try to learn a new word or concept every week. Okay, so
you also have to be able to measure your progress. How are you measuring your progress in the area?
Now I'm quantifying it so I can measure it, right?
Right.
Now,
right.
Anybody comfortable mentioning something that they listed?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll say, I'll throw my hat in the ring there. Recognize, I'm going to go with this one. Blaming.
Good. So that's the hakara. That's the recognition.
Right.
What's step 2?
Step 2 is stop blaming, period. Just stop
cold turkey, stop.
Right.
Stop.
Right.
And that means whenever you get close to the line, the big fat red light goes on and tells you stop.
Right.
Good. You don't write an email. You don't respond to a thing. You just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Not so easy. Beautiful. What's step 3, Zeke?
Is coming up with a plan to actually reinforce it so that it doesn't ever happen anymore.
It's coming up with a plan, as we discussed last week, to
for the
change
future.
your ratzon, to change your will, to change your nature, not your nurture, to forget your nurture, change your nature, so it stops being a blaming nature.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you do in terms of that, in terms of step 3, azivat hahed? I'm sorry, a kabbalah la'atid, a plan for the future. What would you do?
It's a tough one. I struggle with it. I think, it's a hard one. This is a hard one.
Couple of steps. Boys, ladies, anybody suggest what you would suggest to Zeke? Chacham Erwin, Chacham Yitzchak, what would you suggest?
I think it's really just having a practice of noticing what my contribution to whatever the situation is, that on all levels, all the time, and not failing to see that.
Right? Very good. But it's not specific enough. I'm not going to, it's too broad. Give me something more specific.
I don't know. Get 20 push-ups every time I blame.
Pause before you blame.
Any suggestions?
Take a pause before you blame.
Take a pause.
What's that?
Take a pause before you blame.
Take a pause. Beautiful. By the way, that's a real thing.
Hey.
That is a real thing. That would mean something.
Right. Take a pause. Stop.
My wife said
and then,
that.
Right. Am I blaming?
Really?
Right.
Great.
So
all right.
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah.
So regarding that, when I always thought of this, it says erech apayim. In other words, when we're slow to anger, right? So I always think of it. It doesn't always work for me, but it's a model that if Hashem looks at me and he's so slow to anger for me, why can't I why can't I practice that myself?
Excellent. So now take that, Erwin, and drill it down a little bit to something very practical, very quantitative.
Right.
That's a beautiful qualitative idea. But Zeke is going to blame somebody tomorrow morning at 9:30.
Right.
What you're saying is right, but he needs to see that red light flash in front of him. What do you want to tell him?
Tell him, I would tell him exactly what I said. If think of the way God reacts to you and practice that before you jump.
Okay, David, you want to repeat what the boss said?
I love what he said. I'm writing it down.
Okay, great. Zeke, what's your thought? How are you going to change your ratzon so that over time you move gradually away from that? We're all hardwired in certain things. I'm not saying you're hardwired in this, but how do you change your ratzon?
No, I think it's for me, I recognize it as a disempowering of myself, right? That as long as I'm doing that, as long as I'm saying, the reason why that happened is because it rained, then I'm taking the power away from I'm unable to fix it going forward. Every time it rains, this is what's going to happen, right? So I think for me, it's really thinking about that and saying, I don't want to be helpless. I can't be helpless.
I'm with you.
And so
100%.
Right.
I want you to talk to simple people like me. I need a simple red light. Give me that.
Right. You're blaming.
Light.
Right.
So give me that. I need to see that. What you're talking about is true, but I'm lost. You lost me, and you're not gonna win.
And I'm gonna lose myself, and that's what happens, right?
Baby steps that I can notice, that I can identify, that stop me from doing it or cause me to pause from doing it. Like I said, in my case, with the example of the praying, I'm not gonna, blow up the synagogue. I'm gonna do simple things. I'm gonna check my surrounding. I'm gonna read slower. I'm gonna zone out the outside. I'm gonna attempt to spot a new word or term each week that I'm not fully vested in and get it. Simple, quantifiable baby steps. That's what I need.
Right. I guess quantifiable baby step would be focusing in any situation is focusing on me instead of on somebody else or anything else. Period. That's simple.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to say what their first area is and what the first and second step would be?
Mine is also slowing down in my prayers also.
Okay, great.
Because I struggle to keep up. I start before everybody else, and I end up still praying. I finish after everybody else.
Beautiful. And you shouldn't even worry about keeping up. You shouldn't. We'll sit and talk about it some more, but you shouldn't worry about keeping up. You should just worry about being in your own zone and enjoying the tefillah and feeling very.
You should try to speak less Lashon Hara.
What's that?
I guess
try to speak less Lashon Hara.
That's yours, Flora?
That's mine.
Okay, so how are you going to change that?
What'd you say?
It's very difficult, but I'm going to try to be aware when I'm doing it.
Great. And what else can you do? So that's holding back. But what can you do on the affirmative side? On the restrictive side, you're going to hold back. Beautiful, right? We all have this challenge. What do you do on the affirmative side? What would you guys suggest?
I don't know how to tell people.
Person wants to change his or her common dialogue to something better. What do you do to do that? What do our rabbis say you do? It's a very, very important perspective.
Change the conversation, channel it to Torah.
But there's something, what is it? What? I'll tell you, Flora, something that I've suggested to people for a long time, and I've used it myself is, let's say, you're going into a meal with a lot of people or a group of people where there's going to be a lot of time together, right? I'll prepare from before things I want to talk about. I read a nice idea in the Chumash. I learned a new halacha. I heard a beautiful story about chesed. In other words, I think before about the upcoming meeting or gathering or meal or whatever it might be. And I think about and I list what I want to be talking about during that time. And this way, I'm so full of things to talk about going in that I don't have to default to things I don't want to be talking about. Does that work? For me, it works. It's just a suggestion. And again, I'm filling up my mind. I want to talk about this beautiful chesed that somebody did. I want to talk about this Torah idea. I want to talk about this idea that might be a good chesed or might be a good Torah. But the point is, the way to get away from the stuff that we don't want to talk about, walking into a group or a gathering or a meal, is to prepare the stuff we do want to talk about. And here again, it's a simple anecdote. It's a simple fix. But if I get into the habit of preparing my conversation before, then I'm gonna run out of time, and I'm gonna just talk about the good stuff.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, it's a suggestion.
Thank you.
Erwin, anything on your end?
No, I mean, it's incredible. The conversation is really,
You might worry about
it's
yourself.
it's really riveting, but
Yeah.
my question to you is it really cookie cutter into whatever your fancy is to fix? Is that the step 1, 2, 3?
That's exactly right. How great is that?
It's great.
How great is that? It's absolutely cookie cutter, and
Right.
it's totally personal.
Right.
But it's cookie cutter, as simple as it gets. It doesn't get any more simple, and it doesn't get any more profound, because you can't be any better than this.
I love
Right? It's a grand slam. It's unemotional. It's non-judgmental. It's baby step focused. It's quantifiable. It's what we do in our businesses. It's what we do in our families when we're hoping the family member will
Right.
grow from point A to point B.
Right.
Lay out a course
Right.
and map out the steps.
Right.
So now I'm going to
The first part is key. That's really the challenge that I always face, and I got very good at it through trial and error. But
About what?
In business, the emotion. That's in any part of your day-to-day life. The emotion really, in so many places, takes over. Yeah.
It kills it. It kills it.
No,
Okay.
you got to be able to blow it out. Once you blow it out, you are a winner.
That's right. Beautiful.
it.
By the way, Harambam was a lone voice when he did this, because the Musar movement, well, really it came later, but the Musar movement was so much against this perspective. We're going to lie down on the ice.
That was his pitch, Rick.
His pitch was completely what we're talking about here. We're quoting him verbatim.
Wow.
So now let's recap. A, objective acknowledging of the issue. B, an absolute, immediate, cold stop, knowing that this stop or this refraining cannot be maintained over the long run. Doesn't matter. Extricate, stop, get out of it, disengage. Great. I'm already healthier. 3, a simple, baby step oriented, quantifiable plan to get out of there. Now, you look at something like Flora mentioned, like Lashon Hara. We all struggle with this thing. It's hard. It's very hard. There's a lot of time to fill. There's a lot of conversation to be made. We want to engage people in conversation. What do? Okay, one suggestion is what I suggested. Prepare what you're going to talk about before. Is it profound? Is it scholarly? No, it's not meant to be, but it's practical and it works. Yeah, Zeke?
Yep. It's practical and it works. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm writing notes. That's all.
All right.
I'm here.
Excellent.
I'm here.
What's step 4, ladies and gentlemen? What's step 4?
Vow not to do it again.
Say that again, Mickey. I'm sorry.
Vow try not to do it again.
Excellent.
Well-
So the language that we use there is called Kabbalah. I'm sorry, excuse me. We said Kabbalah La'atid, our go forward plan. Step 4 is Vidui Bepeh. To Mickey's point is, I stand before God, and no less important, maybe more important, myself, and I verbally discuss the first 4 steps. A, this is my issue. I want
Right.
to pray more with Kavanah. B, I stop the things cold turkey that were breaking my concentration. C, God, here is my plan to make myself better in this thing. Please be my partner. Grand slam.
Love it.
And how do I do this? Not in thought, in word. I have to verbalize it just loud enough so I can hear it. Why is that?
Because that's gonna make it a real commitment by you to yourself, right?
Right. When we believe that when I say something, it's much stronger as a proclamation than when I think it. And when I say it just above the level where I can hear it, above an absolute whisper, where I can hear it, we believe that it goes out of me, comes back inside of me.
Sure
I
it
think they
does.
used to call it something, there was a term for it, I don't remember, and has a greatly enforcing possibility to it.
Incantation,
Incantation, all right, is that what I mean?
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the word.
Rick,
Okay.
what about all the whole plan I love, but at the end of the day, where's the spike in the deal or the steroid that you're asking Hashem to help you do this?
Right.
Is that play a role in this?
That's number 4. That's the step. Good. That's the step we just talked about. When I'm
That's-
verbalizing it, good.
Verbalizing it to Hashem.
To Hashem and to myself, both.
Okay, fine. I didn't get the
Good.
Hashem.
The
part. That's
vidoy
great.
b'peh, the articulation, the confession by mouth. I'm speaking out to God and into me.
Okay,
Step
fine.
Right.
I got it.
Now,
Got it.
what's the last step?
The 5th step.
Huh?
The
Final
5th step is not not going back to the old to doing it anymore, right?
Excellency. What will at this point, and only at this point, help me not go back there. Now let's be good here. I had the guts to identify the thing or things.
Right.
I had the guts to stop cold turkey. I had the
Right.
guts to articulate a plan. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be simple. Quantifiable.
So they say if you want to take the island, you got to burn all the boats, right? You got no way to go back. There's no option anymore. So that's, I guess, you have to leave yourself without the option to do this thing anymore. It's not a choice.
And it's impossible to do that. You're right. Right? Because it's impossible.
Yes.
So what do I do?
Yes.
What do I do here? And this is a little bit going to challenge everybody just a little bit. What do I do here?
You commit
Tell
to
you
somebody
what.
else. You let somebody else know about it so that they can watch you and make sure that you don't do it.
By the way, that's a very complicated point. That's a very complicated point. You're not allowed to tell somebody else about something that you've stumbled in unless and until they have the opportunity to hear it without judging you.
Ooh, so I just did that with everybody. So I'm a big blamer now. What am I going to do?
All right. Well, God willing, nobody on this call is a blamer or a judger. But this is the thing, like they have in Western culture and Christian society, you know, confession and all this nonsense.
Right, you open up the door, right?
Yeah,
You open up the door, you stand in front
I
of the
like that.
crowd,
I like that opening up the
bare
thing. I always
yourself.
wanted to try it.
Yeah, good. But it's completely anti-Jewish.
I know.
Completely anti-Jewish, and we don't do it. How people get up in front of a room and they talk about this, that, and that. We don't do these things. It's against the
Right.
halacha because you're not allowed to drop something on a person or a crowd, not knowing whether that person can handle it and whether he or she may think differently about you. And in that case, if he or she may think differently, it means you're saying lashon hara about yourself, and that's an isur deoraita. That's a
Yes.
biblical prohibition. So we don't do
Unless it's an inspiring story. It's,
that.
you know,
Unless
I
it's an
was down and now I'm up.
We are very careful about this. We are not American. We are not Christian. We don't fish elbow. We don't throw everything out in the street. We don't do it. We don't do it. We have to be very careful here because you're not allowed to put negative ideas into someone else's head about yourself. You're not allowed. Good. So the last step, everybody, is charata, remorse. Didn't you tell me, Ricky, that there ain't no emotion in this thing? That's right. So what does charata mean? Charata means not that it's an emotional regret. Charata means I objectively reflect on what was and how it would have been better had I made this change.
No, it's funny, Ricky, before you said that, I was gonna jokingly say the last point when you said rewards, I was gonna say, if you're in the community, you throw a party, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
That's
If you're
it.
in the community, you throw a party. So that's actually not one of Harambam's criteria, but
But he was Sephardic, no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
You
so
could
he's
donate a
100%
Sefer Torah also, by the way. You could donate a
Yes.
Sefer, you could do things like that, right?
Right,
That's a
okay,
great
that's a nice twist to that, yeah.
There you go.
Now I accomplished this, so I want to give it to it out, I want to give it.
That's all.
I
I like that, I like
I
that.
love
It's
it.
better than 10 Hail Marys, that's for sure.
That's
Wow,
a great
that's
one.
nice, I like that.
And you throw
So
a
if we
party.
accomplish something, then you give back.
That's right.
I like that.
Where are we? Here, imagine again, Irwin 1, Irwin 2. Irwin 1 takes some time over the next couple of weeks before the Chag. He takes a piece of paper. Here, I wrote mine out. He takes a piece of paper. I wrote my first 3. I have a bunch more. He writes out the 3, 5, 10, whatever it is, areas that are bad that he wants to remove, good that he wants to make better, whatever it might be. That's 1. Step 2 is he immediately refrains from the negative or starts to engage the positive. Step 3, the most important, is he writes a brief, simple, quantifiable plan to fix it. Step 4, now, tomorrow, the next day, every day until Rosh Hashanah, and through Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, and on Yom Kippur, he brings his paper with him. And rather than just blowing through line after line after line of the vidui of the positive mitzvot and negative mitzvot confessions, he reads those, but he stops and reads this and talks about A, the specific mitzvah or averah that he wants to fix or improve, B, how he's going to do it, C, the charata part step 5, is how life will be different when I do that.
Right.
And you read that a bunch of
That's a good
times
point.
over the month of Elul, and a bunch of times on Kippur, a bunch of times on Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. And then, and this is the most important, you leave it in the top drawer of your desk, or you write it on your phone with a reminder. Every Monday morning, I read it again.
Well,
And then what you're going to find, if you reference it continually over the year, and there are small baby steps, but quantifiable steps, when you look back a month or 2 and 3, and certainly 12 months later, you are way beyond these things. And your ratzon, your will, is changed. It's elevated. The love of God is much more open and intimate and clean and beautiful and enjoyable. That's the practical side of Teshuvah. And that's what I strongly suggest for everybody. It's so simple. It's 5 simple steps, but there's nothing that will make a person's life happier than this. And we know, and we'll wind up with this, we know that nobody sits on the level of the Baal Teshuvah. The master of Teshuvah is the greatest Jew, period. There isn't anybody close to him or her. And what does a Baal Teshuvah mean, a master of Teshuvah? It means that somebody who's in the game all the time. As someone asked, I think Serene asked last week in the class, she said, why is it, or somebody asked, you know, maybe Mickey actually asked before he got cut off last week. I don't remember. Where does Teshuvah placed in terms of the books? And it's placed in the first book of Harambam in the context of belief in God, the foundations of Torah, the learning of Torah, the core elements that define us. It's not something specific to the holidays. So again, someone who's at the simple clarity of mind to do this and to bring this paper with him or her to the tefillot and then to reference it. It's very simple. It takes a minute to read. Then you're going to be able to look back from one year to the previous one and know that you're a different person and that you really grew. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is asking for. And that's what he's enabling. And that's why when we read from the Pasuk where we started, Lo b'shamayim hi v'lo me'ever hayam. It's not hard. This Teshuvah thing is not up in the heavens, and it's not on the other side of the ocean. It's immediately inside of me, right below the surface, just wanting to be there. Baby steps, small, quantifiable, game changer. Good. Thoughts, questions?
Dynamite.
It's funny. Yeah. Go ahead.
Great.
We're good?
Right, okay, so
Great.
the only thing is, so let's revisit this 3 months from now.
That's a great point.
And then
You know,
see how
some-
much, no, seriously, yeah, see how much progress that I would be making just on one of the 3, you know.
I love what you're saying, Erwin. I'm going to make a
Right.
note to do that. Bli neder,
Oh,
we're gonna do-
really? And no, the pros and cons and the barriers to making it happen or whatever. Because it's,
I
you know
love
what?
it.
To me, it's like a resolution, like New Year's resolution. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Now, okay, a day later, I fall out of everything. Not, I'm saying me, the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, what's like, it's like anything else. What's the progress report? Where, you know, how are you following it? Like whether it's business or it's life or it's, well, how are you tracking it? What's going on? Just to say you're gonna do it. Me, myself, I'm not talking about anybody else.
Yeah.
So now you gave me a great plan. Zabaruch. I love you, Ricky. But 3 months from now, did I do anything? I'm going to come on the screen 3 months from now, and maybe it's going to give me more incentive to say, hey, Ricky, you know something? Because I don't want to sit in front of 20 people and say I did 0. You know?
Right.
Literally,
Right.
gonna
You know,
put it in
it's
my
a very
calendar
good point.
After we finish this
I love it.
class, that
I love
3
it.
months from now, God willing, we are going
Right.
to revisit it. I
What's
love
what's the date you put in your
grand
calendar,
slam
Ricky?
idea.
What date did you put in your
Be on that
calendar?
class, man.
I'm
But-
putting it
but-
on my calendar.
Put it,
November 17th.
All right.
November 17th. So
All right.
yeah, never
Write it
leave the
down.
sight of a decision without making a move in that direction. So let's
I
do it.
love it. It's a great point, Erwin. I'm with
Let's
you.
do it.
Great.
let's do it. It'll incentivize everybody. If it moves the
Chazak
needle,
u'baruch.
and then I suggested something that has some value.
I love it. Always,
All right.
always.
Beauty.
Have a
Thank you
great
so
week.
much, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Have a
Rick.
great night.
Great.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good
Bye.
week.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky.
Bye.
Bye.